Hello, fifth graders. Um, Today we're going to talk about algebra, the beginnings of algebra. And we're going to begin at the beginning with step one, which is called collecting. So what does that mean? Well, there are steps to solving equations. There are, in fact, three steps of solving equations. The first step, as you know, is collecting. And after that comes isolating all the n's on one side, and then just one n. We are going to concentrate today really on collecting. That is the one thing that we need to know before we can really understand all of the rest of these. So we have to get this down before we can go on to steps 2 and 3. So we're going to practice step 1, get it really solid so that we know what we're doing so that we can move on to steps 2 and 3 in future lessons. So let's practice. All right, step 1, collecting. When we're collecting in algebra, we collect together things that are the same. Okay, what does that mean? Well, here's the kind of an equation that you are going to encounter when you're solving algebraic equations. And it's pretty complicated. We have 5n plus 3n plus 25 plus 10 plus 5. Well, when we're collecting, what we want to do is collect the pieces together that are the same into a couple of different piles. So which of these are the same? Well, let's look and see if we can identify. I've got a 5n plus a 3n, so I notice both of these have n's, whereas these numbers here, 25, 10, and 5, they don't have n's. So I'm beginning to think that these two together are the same, and these are not the same. Think back to when we were studying PEMDAS, and I taught you guys that when you see something like 5n, it's really the same thing as 5 times n. So this is really 5 times n, this is really 3 times n. There's no n's here, so there's nothing being multiplied. So in reality, I do actually have two piles. I have a pile of n's, and I have a pile of non-n's, things that don't have n's. So these are the same, and these are the same. I color-coded them for you. Another way to think about it is really when I've taught before, I always like to have students draw squares around the things that have n's and circles around the things that don't have n's, because that really visually gives you an idea, especially when you're only able to use one color, which things have which are the same and which aren't. So I've got 5n and 3n, 25, 10, and 5. These are the same, and these are the same. All right, so what do I do with them? Well, there's a symbol here in between each of these. Now the symbol is attached to the number that is immediately to the right. So this is plus 10, this is plus 5, this is plus 3n. Well, I can take those symbols and do what it says. So I've got 5n plus 3n. Well, that's 5 plus 3. That's 8. So I have 8 of these n's because this is a pile. This is a pile of 5 of them. This is a pile of 3 of them. Take those two piles, add them together, you get 8 of them. This is 25, that's just a number, plus 10, that's 35, plus 5 is 40. So I have 8 n's over here, and I have 40 here. So this is the simplification of this, 8n plus 40. And this is what the final product for step 1 is going to look like. You don't need to have an answer. I just want it to look like this. I want it to look like a pile of n's and a pile of not n's. All right, let's try it again. And this time I'm going to want you to practice ahead and think about it before you actually watch the rest of the video. So I'm going to give you this equation, or this part of an equation, 7n plus 11n plus 15 minus 7. Now I want you to pause the video when I say pause, and I want you to try it yourself, come up with what you think is the answer, and then start the video again and see if you got it right. So go ahead and pause and find the answer. All right, did you find it? Let's see. All right, so again, same thing. Which of these are the same? I've got a pile of n's here. I've got a pile of not n's here, so I'm going to put my squares around here and my circles around those two numbers. 7n plus 11n, that's 7 plus 11, that's 18. I have 15 here, no n's, just 15, and I have 7. So do I add them or subtract them? Well, look at this symbol right here. This symbol says I subtract them. 15 minus 7, that's 8. So I have 18 n's and 8 left over. So that should be 18n plus 8. I hope that's what you got when you practice it yourself. Let's go on to another one. All right. What happens though if they aren't neatly in order like the last couple have been? I had n n and then not n not n not n, and so they're nice and even. What if they come like this, where they're not in that nice order? Because you're going to see this actually far more often than you're going to see them in order. So what do we do here? Well, it's still asking the question, what is the same? Which ones are the same? Which ones are different? So color coding or putting the boxes around them is, again, the same thing. So go ahead. I want you to try this again. See if you can figure out the answer, and then unpause the video and see if you got it right. So go ahead and pause. All right, let's see how you did. Let's look at this. Piling up my n's here, 3n over here, 11n over here. That gives me those two are my piles of n's. The others are my piles of not n's. And then I want to look at what to do. Well, I have 3n here, and I have 11n here. Now, this is the tricky part, because which of these two symbols gets the 11? Right? Well, luckily they're the same, so I'm going to add in either case, but you never know. It might be a negative like this one or a minus over here. Well, the rule of thumb is it's always the one immediately to the left. So this plus attaches to this n. This plus attaches to 17, this minus attaches to the 4, and the plus attaches to the 6. So this says 3n, hop over here, plus 11n. That's 14n. This says 17, hop over here. This minus gets attached to this 4. So 17 minus 4. 17 minus 4, that's 13. Now this plus gets attached to this 6, so plus 6. I had 13 plus 6, that's 19. So my answer should be 14n plus 19. Pile of n, pile of not n's. Doesn't matter whether they're in order or out of order, I still want two piles. Pile of n's, pile of not n's. Good luck on this assignment. I hope you do very well.